Hot takes, real talk, real issues. You know the deal. We keep it fresh, we keep it true. All Mary with the voice podcast.
Lepacious Bose, you are a Nigerian
Yes, Mama.
actress,
Yep.
comedian,
Yep.
and an MC.
Yep.
But you're a lawyer as well.
Yep.
We'll get down to the lawyer part. How are you a lawyer and a comedian? I really don't know. But I want to hear the whole story. There's a lot people don't know about you. There's a lot I feel I don't even know about you.
That's not true.
we will find out. So I'm going to ask a lot of questions people probably want to know. But there'll be things I want to know as well as your friend. I want to know.
Okay.
And I'm hoping that we'll get to the bottom of them
Okay,
today.
before we get to the bottom of anything and before you start asking all the questions, may I raise my hand to everybody watching this video? I am here under duress. I was dragged here. I was kidnapped. I was forced to come here. I did not come here by my own self or by my own choice. Anything I say on this seat should not be used against me, either in private or in the court of law. Because anything, I'm not a part of this. In fact, this is not me. This is AI.
What?
Is your hand touching me?
What? Okay, so your full name is Abosede.
Well, that's the first misconception people always have. Every Bosede is called Abosede. But for some funny reason, my father thought I was different. And so he removed the A in front of my own name.
And that's how you're different.
So my name is Bosede.
Legit, that is how you are different.
So
because you're not.
I am not the average Abosede. I'm Bosede. So most people whose name is Bose, their initials will be A something, but mine is B-O. So Bosede Odufunke Ogunboye.
Lovely. Born and raised where?
Born in Lagos, raised in Lagos, from a very small, closely knitted family. My dad, my mom, my brother, and I.
Lagos where?
Lagos.
Because there's, the Ogun States.
Okay. This is the interesting part.
Mm-hmm.
When I was growing up, I used to tell everybody that cared to know, especially when I was in boarding house that time, I grew up in Surulere, I grew up in Surulere, I grew up in Surulere. Then, my brother told me, have you checked the Google Maps? And I checked the Google Maps. And I discovered that I actually grew up. Where I grew up is actually listed under Mushin local government.
Did you say listed?
Yeah, but it's like the Surulere side of Mushin.
Okay, see, when it's supposed to be an emotional, nice,
yeah,
souls podcast.
Yeah, but honestly, I used to think it was Surulere. I used to, because Ijesha Tedo, Surulere local government. That's how I grew up then. Mm-hmm. But it's nearer to Mushin than Surulere.
You wanted to do this podcast lying down, sipping drinks.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
And I still am offended. I'm upset.
That we're sitting.
Number one, I have been invited on podcasts so many times and I have said no, I am not a podcast person. Then you bullied me here, then you dragged me here, and then you told me, oh, my friend, okay, we're not doing the podcast. Let's hang out. Let's just hang out. So if we're hanging out, why are we not gisting the way we normally gist? Why are we not lying down on the bed and our two legs up and then having fruits by our side and then
only fruits.
Checking our phone. Okay, we don't want to talk about other things that we have by our side.
Okay. Anyways, you grew up around that Surulere place near.
Yeah. Very close to
Very close. Yeah. How was your upbringing?
Very, very
was it traditional or
how do I say my growing up? My upbringing is funny in the sense that kids played football in front of my house, but my brother doesn't know how to play football. People played tente. I still don't know how to play tente.
What's tente?
It was that stuff that right. I don't know how to do that.
You do. Yeah. It's very simple.
Yeah.
You just go, bring your hands.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, for.
That's not tente.
I grew up in Germany. I even know how to
This is not tente. Tente is the one you do. Tente.
Sorry, do you dance with that as well?
Yeah.
There's a dance that
There's a dance like that. That's where I get confused. My brain and my legs don't get connected.
So there's a dance that goes with the...
Yeah. But
so
this is easy. I can do
not this one,
yeah.
not the... right.
This is Sandali, this and or something like that. I don't remember the name for this
Never
one.
mind.
But long and short of your story is what I'm trying to say is my parents were teachers, so our own recreation was books. You just read or you watch TV, and then when you upset mommy or you offend mommy, she takes your novel. That's your punishment, and then you are traumatized because she took your novel, because you're not used to going outside to play, really. So you grew up on the streets, but you were never really in the street, and so I think my upbringing was a bit more of where you look at street people from the inside and you envy them, their wild life, their crazy life, because your own life is too protected or too academic or too serious. And that was pretty much what it was. Yeah.
Secondary school
was much more interesting. And growing up now, I get very sad looking back at what secondary school was like. I was in boarding house. And I didn't realize that I had, now looking back, researching, getting diagnosed and all that, you start realizing that, that was what I was dealing with. I was dealing with ADHD. I was dealing with dyslexia. Is that
dyslexia?
Dyslexia. And so I didn't cope very well in boarding school.
Oh, you post a lot about that.
Yeah, I'm always talking about that, because I am in class and everything on the board is all blurry and confusing, and the teacher is talking and I'm following it and I'm enjoying it, and then when you look at my notes, you see the gap between I write 5 lines and then 2 pages are empty, and then I jump to the next page because I'm not that coordinated. And because I was also such a very intelligent child, it translated to that I was not serious in school. Because how can you be this intelligent and then you are not on top of your work? Yeah. So that means that you are deliberately not being on top of your work, so you are academically challenged, but intellectually stimulating, you're smart, So I left the boarding school. Was brought back from the boarding school and I was put in a day school. And so I left Federal Government College Iduani in Form 2, going to Form 3. And I came to Ansarudin Girls High School. So when you go from a Federal Government College Iduani to an Ansarudin, it's like you go from like that. And so suddenly you have this rejection feeling. You're no longer one of the special kids, You know how it was when we were young. You go to boarding school, you come back, everybody says, you're back, and everything you do at home is, you get away with everything. Because you're just back in school, you're going back in a few days' time, in a few weeks' time. So you get away with everything. You are treated special, you're spoken to special. And then, and trust me, way back then, it's not like now, way back then, it was like our parents called meetings for it too. All the cousins, all the neighbors, everybody within your age group are all in boarding school.
Okay.
Are all in boarding school. So suddenly you are the castaway. You are the only one that came back home. And then now in the new secondary school, you are not one of them. Because they see you as somebody that is from like an Ivy League school who feel that you are important, and they really feel like, what's wrong with this one? And then the people that left you in boarding school feel like, you're not good enough for us anymore. You're now beneath us. So you're constantly in the middle. You're neither here nor there. And I think that was where my battle with self-acceptance, my battle with emotional struggles actually started, because in boarding school, I was skinny. I was skinny up until Form 2. And then by Form 3, I just started blowing up. So looking back now and understanding emotional eating, psychological issues and all that, I realized I was now taking it out on food. And it's funny that when I started putting on weight and people were going like, oh, you're putting on weight. This guy, you're getting fat. I told everybody, what's your problem? When I was skinny, everybody was abusing me because I was that skinny. I was that skinny that if I do anything wrong, they say, get out of here. Look at that. Skinny bones, all the arms and legs. That was what I was. I was all arms and limbs and legs. But I remember that people would look at me and they would look at my leg, and I don't know what they used to see, and they would just look at me and say, this girl will be fat. I don't know. I really don't know the myth behind it. I don't know what they are looking at. I don't know whether there's an explanation. Till today, nobody has been able to explain to me. But people would just look at me and they would just look at your leg. Maybe I'm walking and like, this girl go fat. Like, then I'll turn and answer them and say, yes, oh, by God's grace, oh, I'll be fat. Because I was really that skinny, And so when I started putting on weight, it was good for me.
Manifestation.
Yeah, I was happy until it started not being good. It's all fun and games until
until you couldn't stop.
Until everybody starts making fun of you and you're the fattest kid in class. Yeah.
At what point were you the fattest kid in class?
From that form thing. It was that
quick?
It was like that. It was that quick. It was like that. It was like that. It was like by third term. By third term.
Not even a year or two.
Yeah. By third term, I was already not the fattest kid, but quite big. I was quite big.
What was your parents' or your mom's reaction to that? At that point now, seeing that, did she try to figure out what the problem was?
Oh, no. In those days, nobody figures out what the problem is. They just caution you and shout on you and snap at you for you have eaten that biscuit in the fridge again, Abby. You can't you see how big you are? Okay, come and check. Is this rice enough for you? Add more for what? Why? So that you can be fat, Abby. So
yeah,
they thought it was tough love.
The old-fashioned way.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, so they didn't. Nobody ever did actually think that it ran deeper than just pure indiscipline.
Then you finished secondary school as a big girl.
Yeah.
And then uni.
And then I went to University of Ibadan and I was doing theatre arts.
So the big girl now goes to college, goes to uni.
Yeah.
How was that friendship, making friends?
Yeah.
Getting along? How was that? Because you now have undiagnosed dyslexia.
Yeah.
A bit of ADHD, undiagnosed.
Yeah.
You're bigger.
Yeah.
And then you go into uni.
And I was studying theatre arts, which was perfect for somebody that had ADHD because you can hide under your creativity. You are extraordinarily talented. You're good at what you do. You can cover up your problems and your emotional challenges with your creativity and your talent, and you can be on stage and shine and everybody accepts you and you glow. And so you keep hiding, you keep getting the dopamine from being on stage, from performing, and people just loving you, and you just hide and you keep going for the next show to keep going, and because also theatre was such a very practical thing. You could,
it's a creativity.
as long as I'm in class and I'm listening to the lecturer, I don't have to read too much. I think the toughest course for me then was the history of theatre, where when you go into the Aristotle philosophy, you go into all the Socrates and all that, then that's a bit more challenging because now I have to remember what they said, the year they were born and all that. But when it comes to practical, the right stage, center stage, this one, all those one, it's like, you just see it, and then you just, because for me with my challenges, once I see it, once I can picture it, I can remember it. The challenge comes with reading it, especially when it is abstract, which is why I had a lot of challenge when I started studying law.
I was going to ask you, theatre arts and then law, was it a combined degree?
No. I finished theatre arts and then I went back to do law because, like I told you, I'm from a very academic family. My parents were teachers. My dad was a principal. My mom was an headmistress, and I had a genius for a brother. I have a genius for a brother. So theatre arts was almost like an insult to the family. It's not like now that everybody wants their child to be an actress, an influencer, and do entertainment is now sweet. Everybody now people even want to pay. They don't want you to pay their children. They want their children to be stars now. Then it wasn't like that. So for the kind of family I came from, it was almost like you were the family disgrace kind of. I mean, yes, you are in university studying theater arts. How? So it was more because the as at that time, I didn't even want to. I was a pure science student, by the way. I didn't do arts. I was a pure science student, and I wanted to do physiotherapy. That's what I wanted to become. And so I didn't get admission into University of Ife then, and then we now had to do an exam for UI and all that, and then I got into theatre arts. So it wasn't so much of whether I loved theatre. I still love theatre. That's, if I had my way, that's all I would have studied, just theatre, diploma, theatre, degree theatre, master's theatre, PhD theatre. That's how much I love theatre. But she just, by the way, let me just make it easy for you so that you understand. I was in school when my family got the JAMB form and filled it up for me. I wasn't even at home. So that just tells you, like, that theater she's doing, she needs to do something else. She needs to do okay. So what do you think she should do? She talks too much. She's always arguing about everything. Let's fix law for her. She'll be a good lawyer.
And you did law.
And I did law. But I keep telling people I did law to make my family happy.
And you did.
I did it for them.
But you're practicing law today, so it wasn't just for them. You're practicing law today.
Life is making me practice it, not
hey, life will make you do a whole of stuff. So you finished theatre arts, did law, and then career started.
Yeah.
Which career did you start with first?
Okay. I was in UI. I was already doing
University of Ife. Some people don't know what
University of Ibadan, actually. Ife is OAU. Ibadan is UI.
Ibadan, okay.
Yeah. So in UI, it was in University of Ibadan. That was where I started my comedy career.
How?
There was a group called the Fomania Organization.
So you were just casually doing that while you were studying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was a big deal. I mean, we had sold out shows. Like, wow, sold out shows. Like, the outside is packed full with people trying to get in while we're doing the first show in the hall. And it was just like basic slapstick stuff. And I was the anchor. And it was just mad fun. Okay. So by the time I graduated and I went to law school, came back, I heard there were comedians in Lagos and people were making money from comedy. And I was like, from what? What I do in UI every day. Why are they making? Who is paying them to just stand on stage and make people laugh? Why are people paying them so much? What is there? It's not just to stand on stage and make noise. I said, they're just being on serious, Charlie. And they say, I know they're making a lot of money. I said, okay, let me go and find out. So I got into Lagos and then met Yinka Akinlawan. Then was used to be in La Fomania with us, and he had now become the producer. He was working with the producer of Night of 1,000 Laps. Mm-hmm. And he was like, oh, boss, you're in Lagos now. Let's come and show these Lagos people how to do comedy now. Come and show them what the stuff you are made of and blah, 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 blah. So that's how I think he got me into one show. Then the next one was, I think, I was doing small stuff. Then he now got me into the Basket Mouth show that was happening at one big place somewhere in Ikoyi or somewhere. I've forgotten the name now, but it was Fantasyland. Yeah, and it was such a big deal then. Anyway, so then the next thing, people were looking for him And they wanted my contact because there was a show in Ghana and they needed me to perform. And I was like, for real? How? Why? And by then, I'd already started working as a company administrator for Design Options,
Okay.
which was an interior decorating company. And but now this was the challenge. We go for shows.
Mm-hmm.
We come back from the airport. Everybody's going home to sleep. I'm rushing to the office.
Oh.
And so I was now having that divided attention, and I needed to give one my attention. So I just resigned and faced comedy for a while.
Full time.
How
was that journey? Being the size that you were and the name that you have. Because Lepacious meaning...
Oh yeah, the name, I wasn't always Lepacious.
Or how did that name come about?
I wasn't always Lepacious. The funny thing about the name is...
because Lepa in Pidgin means very skinny, slim person.
Mm-hmm. And I was morbidly obese.
You were the opposite. So how did that name come about, being the size you were at that time?
Okay. When I was, when they were looking for me
Mm-hmm.
to go to Ghana,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't know who to ask for, because a lot of people knew me as Bose.
Mm-hmm.
But because I wanted desperately to get away from the Bose name.
Why?
Because when I was in UI, theatre arts and law don't get along. You can't be a law student and they are seeing you on stage performing. You actually get a query for it. You can actually get expelled if you're not careful. So when I go and perform comedy in theatre, I used to call myself Funke. I used to introduce myself. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Funke Kayode. So that's what everybody used to call me.
Oh, okay.
Which is my second name, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And Kayode is my dad's name. So I just used that as my stage name. Now, I was in Lagos and I've performed in a couple of places as Bosse. But that particular show that those people saw, that was produced by Yinka Akinlawon, that I went to UI with, Yinka had written Funke. So now people are looking from Ghana, they are looking for Funke. They can't find Funke. Some people say they know Bosse. Bosse is the only fat person that they know that does comedy like the way you are describing. They said the person they are looking for is called Funke. You are looking for Bosse. So there was all that mixture. And so then my friend ONG then now said, you need to have a stage name.
Wow.
You have to have a stage name. You can't be doing Bosse today, Funke tomorrow. You have to have a stage name so that anytime they mention that name, everybody would know what your name is. So what would you like your stage name to be? Yeah, I don't know. I don't have any name in mind. When you were in school, didn't you have any nickname? No, don't have any nickname. So that some people, they like to call me Orobo. And when they call me Orobo, I used to tell them that me, I'm not Orobo, I'm Lepa. So most of my friends started calling me Lepa. Oh, but that's nice. We can work with that. And there was one guy that was having a show then. He was there when we were discussing. He said, we can do it too. Lepa. Everybody was like, ladies and gentlemen, where they come? Lepacious. Lepacious Bose. It was just like that. That was just how it, and that was it. That was it.
It got to a point where being big became a problem.
No, I like to say it this way. It got to a point where being big was no longer funny. Because my comedy was basically 90% about being big.
But it was a way of coping for you.
Yeah, it was a coping mechanism. Yeah.
What was the highest you had on the scale? Do you remember?
About 210 kg. 210
That's
kg.
over 415 pounds.
Yeah.
At what point did you say, okay, this is it? I need to do something?
I can't say at what point, because I don't think there was trigger. I don't think there was ever a point that I was not trying. You know, like there was no time I wasn't in the space of wanting to get rid of the weight. You know, you would enter my house and you would always find a million different types of slimming tea, different books about weight loss, about body positivities and all that. So I don't think there was ever a time that I wasn't trying. I think it was more about...
Were you ever determined enough?
Yeah, I think it was more about having the right information, getting desperate enough to the point where you know that it's either this is done or nothing is done, So, and the turning point was just before I was 40. And I was in Namibia, and I was already getting into that. I was getting extremely depressed. And
because of the weight? Or?
Because of the weight, and because everything in life that could ever go wrong with my life was blamed on my weight. So you have an headache, you go to the hospital, the doctor say you have to lose weight. You go for a job interview, they say you have to lose weight. You want to act in a movie, they are casted and they say, oh, you would have been perfect for this role, but you have to lose weight. So it was becoming...
So it was affecting the job as well.
Yeah, so it was...
Even as a comedian.
No, as a comedian, it wasn't a problem. It was always... But you perform... You get to that point where you perform and you get a standing ovation, everybody else is clapping, but you're driving home and you're crying. And you had a great show, but you're empty. You're not fulfilled because people are not laughing with you, but they are laughing at you. And so it's and you begin to ask yourself, is this all I am?
Is that how you felt, or that was reality?
That was my reality. I don't know if that was the reality of everybody else that was looking at me, but that was my reality. Is this all I am? Am I just going to be this big, black, fat woman? If I die now, is that all that is going to be written on my tomb? Here lies Bose, the fat, black comedian. And I started thinking that I needed more, And I remember that I was in Namibia visiting my brother and my nephew, God bless his soul, Sime. He was about 10 years old. And he came to the room and I was sleeping, and he looked at me and he came close to me. I wasn't even sleeping. I was lying down, and he came close to me and he was like, Auntie Posse, are you okay? And I said, I'm fine. He said, are you sure? I said, I'm fine. I said, why? He said, you're breathing hard. You're breathing heavy, like your heart is about to stop. And I said, I'm fine. He said, okay. And then he looked at me and he said something like, he said, wow, now I can't remember, like, please don't let your heart stop or something like that. And he walked, and Simi is the most, even now as an adult, is the most compassionate, intuitive child you would ever know. So it's not just the words, it's the tone, it's the everything, And he said that to me, and he politely walked out of the room. And I went into the bathroom and I locked the door and I just sat down under the shower and I just cried. And I just said, God, if you help me, this one time, just help me. I'm tired. Just help me, And all I just kept saying was, if you can help me, I don't know what to do. Just help me, Lord, And I just kept saying that. That's all I kept saying. And my brother, who is normally the most discompassionate person, came back that day, and when they said the universe aligns, came back that day, and it was like, and we started talking about life and everything. Boss, would you like to see a doctor? And for this, let's talk about your weight and check your hormones and check everything and do some tests and all that. And that's how my journey started. We did the test, we did the hormonal balance, prescriptions and all that. And And I don't think I would have survived it by myself if I'd started by myself. But starting all the way in Namibia was easier. You know, I was with family, I had support. My sister-in-law, God bless her soul, Nika, would make soups, we make teas, we'll make, you know. So all the things that I would not have known what to do by myself here, you know, she would sort them out, prepare the stuffs that I need, and, you know, that was it. And I remember when the doctor asked me, where do you see yourself by this time next year? If you don't lose weight, where do you see yourself? And I just looked at him and I said, I'll be dead. He said, do you have health challenges? I said, I would definitely be dead. If my health is not bad enough to kill me, then I'll kill myself because I'm done. So I was at that point. It was either leave and live well, or let's just end this. So
So how did the journey start?
That was just it. It started with the right nutrition. We got a nutritionist. Don't forget, I'm Nigerian. My nutritionist is South African. So
Maybe in Namibia then?
Yeah, South Africa.
Okay.
Yeah, so now I'm coming back to Nigeria, and now I have a meal plan, and now I have to explain what is in. When I take a picture of my food in Nigeria and I'm sending it on BBM, it was in the days of BBM, I'm sending a picture of my food to my nutritionist. Mm-hmm. Now I'm explaining the composition of my food, because what my nutritionist knows is different from my nutritionist understands salad. She does not understand a foriro or begiri, you know, and you have to look for something as close to what she's talking about. Like when she says lentils, I just do begiri. Because
that's the yellow sauce.
You know, because also if you don't like what you're eating and you're stuck with what you don't like, after a while you just get frustrated. You know, so all that was playing out for quite a long time. And because also I was so big, the scale wasn't working.
Well, the scale worked, but it wouldn't take your weight, no?
Yeah, I had to return the weights like 2 or 3 times. I kept telling them it wasn't working until they told me, you could see the compassion in the person's eyes when they told me, ma'am, maybe you are more than 180 kg. Because this scale would not show anything more than 180 kg. Because it kept saying error. And I kept returning it. So the first time I actually got on the scale and I saw something on the scale, I almost fainted. Like, I have a weight, you know, so
the skinny girl now tipping 200 plus kilos.
Yeah.
How long was the journey?
From 210 kg to 125, 30 kg must have taken me like 4 years. Yep. 4 tough, emotional, psychologically, physically draining 4 years.
4 years?
Yeah. But I had the support of family, great parents, my brother, my sister-in-law.
Because I was going to ask you, how were you managing work, comedy, MC, all of that, and actively trying to lose weight?
Yeah.
Because you're going to events, there's food, there are drinks, things are happening. You're always at events.
It starts with getting results first. The first time I noticed that I just like, don't forget, there's a level you get as a big person. The scale is not working. All your clothes are free, boo-boo like clothes and all that. So you don't even have anything to prove that.
Measure that.
So the first time I noticed I was losing weight, it was actually, I think, was it a ring or was it a bracelet? It was just loose. I was like, oh wow. This, I might be losing weight, you know? And once you start seeing those results, you start being hopeful. And So for me, it wasn't a big deal anymore. My rule then was see no evil, eat no evil. So I literally emptied my house.
But you went out, you had events, you were working.
It wasn't a big deal anymore because I was now seeing results.
Okay.
That was my motivation,
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I had all the supplements. I had so going for events, I would take my protein shake, for example, before I go to an event. I would wear my waist trainer. I wear my waist trainer. I'll be looking at the food. I'm hungry. I want to eat this food, but the waist trainer is tight. The food is here. I remember one particular time on top of Third Mainland Bridge, I parked the car, removed waist trainer because I couldn't breathe. Because I had tried to really eat. Like I was like, this food, I must eat this food. And now I'm on top of Third Mainland Bridge and I'm throwing up. Like, no, this is it. I can't do this. So yeah. But then how many events do you go to in a day, or in a week?
Yeah.
Is it, do you want to sabotage everything that you have worked out for like a week or two just because you have one event?
Yeah.
So like I said, it had come to that point where it was either you do it or you die. And then by the time I hit 130 kg and I was happy, God has done it, and I was feeling good with myself, then I fell ill. And for 8 months, I was bedridden. I couldn't walk. I couldn't keep food down. I threw up everything that entered into my system, water, anything, I threw up. And I was flown to South Africa. My parents went with me. I was flown back.
Hold up. Hold up. Hold up. You were 8 months bedridden.
Yeah. I was
What
on
was
a
wrong?
wheelchair. I couldn't walk. I couldn't. All my electrolytes had crashed. We did the endoscopy, and then I was on drip because the only way I could stay alive and get nutrients was drip, and I still had longer throat because I was always thirsty. So I was always thirsty, and I would finish like a liter of drink, not water, safe, because I needed sugar. A liter of drink right now, I'll just go and finish now, and then I'll throw everything up. And then when you look at what I threw up, it's like ×3 of what I drank.
Ooh.
And I remember the nurse in South Africa saying, "Bose, I have been a nurse for 25 years. I have never seen this kind of thing before in my life. I don't understand. You're bringing out more than you're even taking in. I saw what you drank. I saw what you're throwing up. I don't understand this." And then it was, and then and then I was told then that I would get better. Then
So no diagnosis.
yeah, there was nothing they could do. They had tried their best. They said it would start opening by itself eventually. So we came back to Nigeria, and
weren't you scared, worried, like, since I can't keep anything down?
Wasn't I scared?
No, you're saying it now so casually.
Every single day, because this is 2015, 2016, so, and we're in 2025, so yeah. I've gone past that, every single day. Then around between 12 and 3 o'clock, I would have the most amazing internal heat, and they would go and buy ice.
In your body or in your stomach?
In my body.
Wow.
And they'll go and buy ice. The ice they used to serve drinks in parties. Mm-hmm. They'll go and buy ice, and they will pour it on me on the hospital bed, and they'll cover me with blankets. Yeah. So.
Or ice baths?
Ice, yeah. It was that bad.
And there was no diagnosis still?
The diagnosis is what I just told you. I was low on all the electrolytes. My potassium level was low.
So was
my
it,
magnesium
you had
was
lost
low.
how many kilos at this point?
I had gone from 210 kg to 130 kg.
And this happened?
Yeah. So I remember telling my dad that I'm done. And that death was better than this. Death was definitely better than this. Just let me go. Can they please sign a waiver for me? And just let me go.
A waiver to do what?
I was just ready to go.
Go. Okay. No.
And my dad just started crying.
This was at the hospital?
Yeah. I was permanently in the hospital, so...
Still no diagnosis, nothing?
That was the diagnosis I just gave you.
What you can't be diagnosed with, I'm losing all my
Now, let me tell you the funny thing. They would come and tell me that, oh, I will come today and I will get up. I'll get up. I'll walk down the staircase. All the nurses will come out and be clapping. Oh, Auntie Bose is walking. Oh, thank you, God. Oh, and then the next thing, I'm shaking. And they're rushing me up upstairs and they're trying to put, oh, by the way, my veins were always collapsing. So to get my vein to put the drip in was always a problem. So they're trying to put drips in. They're saying, oh, she doesn't have sugar. She doesn't have this. She doesn't have that. Anyway, it was a chaotic time.
So you came that period without having the proper diagnosis, not you're losing electrolytes and everything. That wasn't these were symptoms of what was happening.
But nothing was staying in. That's what I'm saying.
So there was a problem.
They checked everything.
And they couldn't figure out what the issue was.
My intestine had collapsed. So I couldn't keep nothing down.
So how did you recover from that?
So I did another endoscopy.
Mm-hmm.
That was very funny. The same endoscopy I'd done 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
And this time, there was a slight opening. Very slight opening. So slight, it was almost not there. And that was it. But I remember that the doctor told me that this is a slight opening and it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And if you're not careful and you don't control yourself, you're going to get big again. So that was when the real battle of maintenance now started. Because now, from 130 to 95 kg, I didn't do nothing. I was just in the hospital sick. I didn't do nothing. I didn't do anything. I was just sick. And so, naturally, yeah. So from that 95 kg now.
So how long was that journey, that 135 to the 95?
8 months of being bedridden.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that was
it took 4 years to get to that 135.
But then 8 months. Yeah.
How did that affect your job?
Oh, I disappeared. I'm still struggling with it now. I'm still struggling with that now. Because that was when social media was just starting. That was when everything... So that's the funny thing about entertainment. It was just like I didn't exist. Everybody just forgot me.
Oh.
I had 2 African Magic Viewers nominations that year. Nobody knew I wasn't at AUMVCA. Nobody noticed. Nobody noticed. It's like it was literally like I didn't exist. So coming back when I recovered, I was like an upcoming. Because by then there were now new kids on the block. There were, people doing great things. So that it was that fast, because don't forget, I recovered. I was bedridden for 8 months. It wasn't like I got well and then I started working immediately, So it was also a process. So we're talking about being out of circulation for a whole year.
How did you find your way back?
I'm still finding my way back. I'm still finding my way back.
You had a great loss about 2 years ago. Friday. One of your closest, no, I think he was like a brother to you.
He was my son.
He was your son. And he lived with you for years. What was the story with him?
Okay, Friday was Ghanaian. I had a driver and a maid, and then the maid had become very she was always stealing, doing all sorts of things, and I said I just didn't want any maid anymore. And then when I started my weight loss journey, my nutritionist then had told me, since I was too big to go to the gym, I should make household chores my workout. So just try and do stuff yourself. So I said I didn't need any maid anymore. I started doing my stuff myself, which was my exercise. The first time I swept my entire house. I sweated like they poured water on me.
It's a workout.
It was, So, and then the driver I had then had also sabotaged the engine of my car. Because
sorry, what?
Sabotaged the engine of my car. The engine of my car knocked because he wanted me to stop using a particular mechanic so that I could use the mechanic that he had planted. So, long and short of the whole story. Anyway, so by the time I met Friday, I didn't have any help. I didn't have it. So I told some friends that I just needed, I needed somebody that would just come to the house, clean the house, and then once a week, just prepare stew, soups, and put them in the freezer for me. And then I'm fine by myself. And then make salads and stuff like I have to eat salad, but I don't like making salads, So they said, oh, Friday is the perfect person for you. He's very efficient, but he's invisible. You won't even see him. You won't even know he's there. And they brought this guy Friday. And I said, oh, you're Friday. Short, funny looking guy. Like, you're Friday. He said, yes, ma'am. But I don't like to be called Friday. I said, so what's your name? He said, I prefer David. I said, me, I don't know David. They told me that your name is, he said, I prefer David or Nana. I said, they told me your name is Friday. Your name is Friday. So that's how I insisted on calling him Friday. Until today, he tells everybody that anytime he hears the name Friday, he knows that the person knows him through me. Because I just allowed the name to stick. And so that's how Friday started being my cook steward. Used to come 3 times a week, and he would just clean the house and go. Clean the house, make the food and go. But it changed when I fell ill. When I fell ill, Friday was all I saw. Apart from ONG and his family, God bless them. Apart from my immediate family, ONG and his family, Friday was all I saw. Friday practically moved in with me. He was a caterer who would always get jobs, but he would not go. He took care of me. He literally took care of me. And I remember lying down on the bed in the hospital, and I looked at him and I said, Friday, from today, you are no longer my staff. You are my blood. And that's how we started our journey. And then he started staying more at my place. And the reason he started staying more at my place was I started depending too much on him. He would stay in my place and then he would say, good night, ma'am. And then he would get to the gate and I'll call him back, Friday, the generator can't start. Please, can you come back? And then he would come back and then then he would say, good night, madam. And so I would just call him back and say, Friday, the gas did not start again. He will come back again. So I think I was always stressing his life. He just decided, you know what? Let me just be staying here. So he had his own apartment And even before he died, he had built his own house, but he was always with me because he knew I was needy. I think he just knew I was needy. He was always there.
How long did he work for you?
About 8-9 years. I lost track of time, but about 9 years. But Friday was the closest I have to his son.
You left social media for a bit after his passing. You weren't very much active anymore. People wanted to know how you were doing, what was happening. How did his passing affect you physically, emotionally?
Even now, I still don't think I'm on social media because apart from posting, maybe when I have events or my exercises, there's nothing to post. Friday was the post. It was the video man.
Oh.
You know, he was the one that he was the cook. He was a chef. He was the one that want to make a soup, and then I see him making the soup. Then I bring my camera, and then I record it and I post it. He was the one that did the cooking. He was the one that designed my menu for my weight loss and adapted it to the Nigerian version. He was the one. He was the voice in my head. He was the one that would always tell me, "Mommy, you're overeating. You shouldn't eat this one now. You shouldn't do this one. Mommy, this event that we are in, you need to crack this joke. When you were talking on stage, you said this particular joke. People laughed. Their reaction was better than the other one that you said. Why don't you say this particular thing?" He was the one that would remind me of all those things. He was the one that would drive all the way from Eco Hotel and Suites at 1 a.m. when I'm sleeping at the back of the car. He was my anchor. He was my strength. So he's gone. What am I posting? I can't even process it. I can't even. Since Friday died, I don't even bother cooking. After Friday died, I think I even started eating things I didn't normally eat because it's easier to just cook one Indomie. When Friday was alive, we didn't eat Indomie in my house. Indomie was forbidden. It was like poison, but it's faster. It's just me, just put one Indomie and then one boiled egg and then that's it, But when Friday was alive, we didn't eat those kind of things. We ate all foods. He would make proper vegetable, Ghanaian light soup, this one, that one. He had proper structure. He would make salads. He would make the juices. He would make so there was always content, There was always content. I'm walking out. He's holding the cameras. He's there. He's telling me what to do. It was the life of my house. It was the one that would always crack the fun. He was the comedian. I just laughed at his jokes. He grew up on the streets, so he had all the stories of the streets to share with me. So I think Friday just took the light. He just took the light away. He just took the light with him. And I really don't like talking about him because it's almost 2 years and I'm not getting better. I'm not getting better. I'm not doing well. And people don't get it. And that's the sad part.
How so?
I think if it was my brother, they would get it. If it was my son, they can't. To a lot of people, it was just your staff. Your driver. Friday didn't even know how to drive when he started working with me. He learned how to drive with me. I am a 52-year-old single woman without a child, and Friday was like my consolation. I used to think that I was so sure in my old age Friday would take care of me. I was so sure. When that time came, we even used to crack jokes about it. He would say, Mommy, this is the kind of house I'll build for you when you're in your 60s or your 70s. You shouldn't be using the staircase. And we'll talk about all those things, I remember when he lost his dad, he had lost his mom before that. And he lost his dad. And I said to him, Friday, hey, I see that mother and I see that father, and I don't know where they sell coffee, You are the one that will have to take over when daddy and mommy are old and they die. You are the one that will have to undo everything. Because he was just the hands-on man. And then suddenly
but you did your best for him too.
Yeah, I did.
You did.
I did my best for him.
You did.
He didn't deserve anything less.
You did your best for him. And he knew that. He knew that.
He sent me a voice note before he died.
Yeah.
Just thank me.
Yeah.
And he said to me that even when I'm gone, I will be with you. But without Friday, life feels a little different,
Yeah.
And it's almost 2 years, and his death has even affected the whole weight loss journey, because I'm eating all the wrong things. I'm drinking.
He was stopping you from all of that.
I miss him. And you don't understand. Friday is the one that I would have a bad day and sit down. He would sit down on the rug in the house and I would rant. And he would just listen. Even when it didn't make sense, he would just listen.
Yeah.
You would see the look on his face that he wants to sleep, or like, what's wrong with this woman? You're not making no sense. But he would just be there. Friday was light.
Free.
It was
So it's not getting easy. It's not getting easier with time. Do you think they say time makes things easier? They say it gets better with time. It gets easier with time.
He sent me a message before he died, and he said, "You are everything a mother should be, and you fought for me, and even when I'm not here, I will still be here with you." When Friday died, I lived alone, so I was thinking that I had never had anybody so close to me die. I've been blessed like that, I've never had a family member that is so close to me die. So Friday was really like the first.
Hit home.
Yeah. So I used to think, oh, maybe he will appear to me. And then one day I said, I would really wish he could just come one day and let's just sit down and talk.
Girl, aren't you going to run? Aren't you going to run?
I really don't think I would, because I think we'll actually laugh.
Really?
Yeah. I wish death was like that.
The people could
like
just
people
show
could
up.
just show up once in a while,
Just go and
then
visit
you could
Friday
just
and come
visit
back.
for a day and come back. And I'm angry with God. You know, I'm angry. I love God, but I'm angry. I'm rebellious. It's like you saw me. You knew I needed someone. And then you gave me somebody that was my friend, my son, my brother. And then you took him. Why did you bring him in the first place? I was doing fine without him.
Were you?
I think I'm still angry. I'm angry with everybody. I'm angry with friends that didn't reach out when he died. I'm angry with the medical system that didn't diagnose him on time. Do you know, I had an accident. When Friday was doing chemotherapy, I had an accident. He was doing chemo and then he would come back home. And Friday, he still took me to the hospital. Still took the car to the mechanic. I still followed up. I made sure the car was fixed. I made sure I was treated and helped me to walk again when he was dying. He was dying. He was doing chemo. He was doing chemo. He would do chemo and then he would come back home and he would practically not be able to stand and he would still drive me to the hospital. That was Friday. Nobody else has ever been that selfless for me. He didn't need to die. I know people that have survived cancer. Why couldn't he? Why couldn't he? He fought. He fought hard. He fought hard. We fought.
People think, or there's a misconception that you have children. Do you have children?
I have children. I have lots of children. I mean, your kids are my kids, aren't they? And but biological children, no, I don't have biological children. And like I said, Friday was the closest to a biological child I have. And with him gone, it's almost like that's it. I feel like a bereaved mother. I feel like, you know, those bereaved mothers that have like just one child and then you lose the child when you're like menopause and then you can't get pregnant again and then you have lost your only child. That's how I feel.
There's another misconception that you are married or you've been married before.
That's good. That's good. That I think that's a good misconception.
Is it?
Yeah. Like, that probably fits me into like 40% of Nigerian women right now. Yes. But no, I've never been married before and I'm not married. And yeah.
Do you think your weight contributed to that marriage, or there was nothing like that, or you were never close to marriage?
Let's say I've never really been lucky enough.
Okay.
I've never really been lucky enough, weight or no weight. I mean, I used to think that once I lose weight, like this, all the men in Nigeria will come running after me. I've lost weight since when, and everybody will say, "Oh my God, you have a banging body, you have a this body, you have a that body." Where are still the men? They are still nowhere to be found. So, I don't think I've ever really been lucky enough. And I remember one prophet told me that I have a spiritual husband, and I said, "Oh, great! Can he introduce himself?" You know, because since I actually like spending time by myself, and I'm always at home anyway. You know, I'm always in my house. If I'm not working, I'm not out. So I mean, what
Let him come. Let him
spiritual
come.
husband, let's as long as he should pick the bills and let's hang out. But you are in the spirit. I'm not seeing you. And what's your advantage? You are useless
What's
to me.
your
Yeah,
benefit?
you know. So yeah. So unless you are spiritual husband that I can see, even if I'm the only one that I see you, nobody else is seeing you. It's fine. I don't need social media validation. I don't need social media love. As long as I'm seeing you, I have a challenging day. I can come home and say, spiritual husband, you say hi. You say, can we talk? You say yes. Can I run to you? Say yes. I'm fine. Spiritual husband, the car is not working. Can you help me with some transfer to my account? Say yes. And then I'm okay. But you are a spiritual husband. You are somewhere in the spirit. You are controlling my destiny and you are controlling my life. It's not making any sense to me. So
we need to stop it.
Yeah. You spiritual husband have to be very careful. We have to be very careful because if I catch you, I will beat you. Because it's not helping anybody.
I'll help you.
It's not helping anybody.
We will beat him.
Yeah. So if it is physical marriage, I'm not married. But spiritually, they say they have seen me married. So I don't know whether I wore wedding gown or whether they were witnesses. But yeah, it's okay.
Oh yeah,
it's okay.
Are there any misconceptions you want to clear about you?
I don't know.
Have you heard of any?
I honestly really don't know. There are things I hear, I laugh. There are ones.
Which ones have made you laugh?
I can't remember them right now on the spot of the moment. I can't remember them now. But there are things you hear and then you laugh, and then there are things you be like, I wasn't even there when it happened. So how did my name come up in this conversation? You know, so all sorts of things. But I am not a. Like when you said we're going to have this podcast, I was asking you, what are we going to talk about? I'm not an interesting person. I'm not an interesting conversation.
That's what you think.
I also do not like controversy. I'm a coward. You
would not believe that.
I'm
I'm
a coward. I'm an overthinker. And you know that. The rest of the world may not know that.
Being as loud as you are.
Yeah.
Being as forward as you are.
Yeah.
For you to say, I'm a coward, you bully me 24/7. I hear boss, I'm like, okay, no, we're not doing, no. And you're telling me you're a coward. Like,
but you're one of the few people I'm very real with. I'm myself when I'm with you. I'm not Lepacious Bose.
Yeah.
When I'm with you, I'm not a comedian when I'm with you. I'm not an actress when I'm with you. I'm not a public figure. I'm Bose. I'm just Bose. Yep. So
the light soup Bose.
Oh yeah, and I walk into your house and I walk straight into your kitchen.
Yeah.
So I call your husband and I have a conversation. I know your kids, so I don't have to put on an act. I don't have to be a particular person. I don't have to be expected around you. But really, I am not like that with most people. I leave your place thinking, that thing I said to Mary, should I have said that? Shouldn't I have said that? What would she think about it? How would it? I overprocess things. I'm an overprocessor. So I'm usually very, very scared. I'm one of those people that there's a party and I'm like, oh, damn, I don't want to go. And then when I get to the party, I'm the life of the party, and then you're thinking, no, but you didn't want to go. So I think I'm complex in that way.
Do you think it has something to do with the ADHD?
Oh, yeah. I found out later. I didn't understand until I found out later that they were all ADHD complexities, and all that. And that's why you have an event at 6 o'clock in the evening and you are awake at 6 a.m. in the evening and you are panicking and hyperventilating over the event that you have at 6 o'clock in the evening and you are getting dressed, ready since 6 a.m. in the evening and you are still late.
What symptoms have you seen being an adult with ADHD and a bit of dyslexia? How has it affected?
For one, I'm going back to school to do masters, and I read one paragraph like 5-6 times, the same paragraph, and I'm trying to remember what I read.
Aside from the academic part, in your day-to-day lifestyle,
you want to talk about you walk from the sitting room to the bedroom and you can't remember what you went to go and get. You want to talk about the voices in your head.
Oh,
you want to talk about the conversations going on in your head that you are not. This is how the brain of an ADHD person works. while you're trying to do something else. So
Wow.
you're constantly trying to say,
Shake it.
okay, yeah, okay, calm down. What are you saying? Wow. Yeah. You also have one of the beautiful things is I've discovered with ADHD is the Instagram. When I see people post videos of their experiences with HD, and I'm like, oh, that's it. So
Wow.
there are so many moments like that. Like I remember I was telling a friend of mine, Ashi, I was like, Ashi, you remember when we were in school, how you used to ask me, why do I always spill water on myself when I drink water? Like, I used to say like it was a joke, that can't you drink water without spilling water on yourself? And I used to think, really, it's true. I always spill water on myself. Well, maybe because I'm too loud, maybe because I'm too forward, maybe because I'm too lousy, maybe because I'm too playful.
It was a hyper part.
Until I saw it on, I was like, oh, other people do this too.
Wow.
Or how you have marks on your body because you're constantly hitting
Clumsiness.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, I'm clumsy, really. You know,
trip.
I trip over things. And then you want to carry 1,000,001 things at the same time, knowing fully well in your brain that you cannot carry them, and then one falls down and then one breaks. And I remember I still have a phobia, a fear of glass. I feel if you give me a glass to hold, I must break it. If I buy a phone today, trust me, the screen will break today, no matter what I do. Is almost reflex.
Wow.
It happens that I'm like, damn, I knew it was going to happen.
How are you a comedian? Or how were you able to remember all these things?
I wasn't able to remember. That was one of the biggest challenge I had as a comedian.
Because you have to remember your lines.
I had some permanent jokes that worked for any event. So those ones were always in my head, you know. Yeah. But the beautiful thing I had then was the power of being spontaneous, you know. So you could look in the crowd and pick up stuff and just talk off the top of your head. Wow. But this is where it gets challenging. If you have to deal with depression or pain or grief, being spontaneous is tougher because nothing is funny to you. So how do you get people? How do you get to see something that is funny? So that's where the emotional challenge of that comes from. But when it comes from preparing a repertoire, it used to be a challenge. In fact, I used to be one of those very few comedians. The only place I'm comfortable is being an MC. And that's because I can write my jokes down. After this, I say this. After this, I say this. So when I get to the stage, I look at my paper, I remember. But being a stand-up comedian, having a flow of repertoire is only ONG that can tell you what he has suffered in his life. Because I would call him 1,000,000 times. I'm about to go on stage. Oh, now, how are we going to flow? How is it going to go? You say that you say this one, then you flow to this one, then you say the next one, then you said. So I am most at my best when Owen is at the backstage with me and I'm constantly stressing him and disturbing him, and he's telling me, you say it this way, then this one this to this way, this one this to that one. Wow. But when I go to the event alone and there's fire on the mountain, I survive it, but then it's not that. But and trust me when I tell you that I've had some very, very horrible shows where I get on stage and I literally look at the audience and everything flies off my head and my mouth is dry and the hall is spinning, and yeah, I've been in those horrible, embarrassing situations before. So I look at people and I tell them, you think stand-up comedy is funny? Try doing it with ADHD and all the other challenges that I have. Yeah.
I'm having a headache listening to you. I'm just panicking listening to you. How you could be in the hall, the anticipation, people looking.
Yeah.
And you can't remember.
I can't. Yeah. I've had that happen to me. The entire hall spinning. The entire hall spinning.
Who saved you?
Nobody.
Oh boy.
So you see that thing they say, nobody's coming to save you. Nobody. You just get to say one thing that can come into your head,
And then
you just have a dignified walk off the stage, and people are free to decide what they want to decide. And unfortunately, there are some people that you will never get a second chance with. So they walk away thinking that you're not good enough. But that's fine.
How has work been now after the weight loss, after your health, being back again? You've been okay now. How has work been?
Work has been a bit more challenging because my entire brand was built around my fat person. That was what my entire brand was built around. My journey as a fat person, my challenges as a fat person, what I go through as a fat person, how I don't care that I'm a fat person. And, so now you've lost weight, and then you say some of your fat jokes and it looks like you are body shaming fat people in the audience. So it's not coming out the same way it used to come. And then a lot of fat people liked me then. They were my fans because they resonated with me. But now it's like I betrayed them. So they don't really
there's no more.
You're not one of us anymore. Yeah. And the pretty girls are angry. You want to be one of us? Who do you think you are? Oh. Where did you come from? So it's
really?
Yeah. So it's not the same way it used to be. And so now you have to think of other things to talk about. And then while you're thinking of other things to talk about, you're trying to avoid religion, you're trying to avoid politics, you're trying to avoid talking about being a single, struggling woman at your age, because everything now is misinterpreted to be analyzed to be that is your pain, and then you don't want to talk about married people because you don't want to look at see if you're judging them, and so it's a bit more challenging, So it's but then we're struggling.
I don't want to be you. I don't want to be you.
I don't want to be me either sometimes. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So can I become rich as a Nigerian actor?
Yeah, you can.
Wait, what if a friend of mine's daughter, someone is aspiring to become an actress in Nigeria?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, well, the world is changing.
Can we is the industry that lucrative now for me to?
Yeah, in this day and age, yes, it is. Is it as lucrative as some people make it look? I don't think so.
So I can't become rich by a house.
You can become rich and buy a house, but can you buy a house in Banana Island? That's another thing I don't know.
So I can buy a house on the mainland island? No?
Yeah, you can buy on the island, but not by doing 2 movies or 3 movies.
Or 1 year.
You just get into the industry for 1 year or 2, and then you have bought a house on the island. I don't think so. However, like I said, the industry is changing. Mm-hmm. Now you can be an influencer, you can be an ambassador and still be an actor. And so you get all that money together. But like I always tell people, content is power, So if you're the producer of the movie, or you're the owner of the movie or the production company, you can do great things. But you're an actor? Okay.
A lot of people are crossing over. Content creators are becoming actors and actresses. What's your take on that?
I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth.
Is it like a shortcut to becoming an actor, or like what?
I don't think that
some of them do, a year, 2, 3 content, and then the next thing you see is they're in a movie.
No, I think if you do content in the first place, it's because you think that you have some acting skills in you.
Okay.
That's why you're doing content in the first place. Okay. Is it that you know how to dance, or you know how to, there's some kind of creativity in you and you want to express yourself, and in a world where people don't give you an opportunity, or you don't have access to auditions and all that, then you tell yourself, okay, let me set a camera and do it by myself. All right. But we also live in a world where people don't really want to give you a helping hand, a lifting until they see that you're already shining. So they see you do content, people are liking your content, people are commenting on your content, and they say, oh, let me bring this person into my movie. So it's not so much about whether you are capable, because there's acting, my darling, and there's acting. You can be in a movie but not really be acting. And when you check a lot of content creators and influencers, and I say without any malice, they're not acting in the movies. There's nothing they are doing in the movie that is not what they are doing in their skits. That you are the same character in your skit that you are playing in the movie, so you're not really acting.
Right. Okay, I get it.
That character that you have created,
right?
Like maybe you are a mechanic or something in your skits. That's where every time they put you in a movie, actually that's what they put you to do in the movies. Right. So you're not really acting.
Just being you in the movie.
What makes you an actor is your ability to evolve. Your ability to be a blind person or a deaf person or a fat person or a mother and then suddenly a child, and that's acting.
Changing characters. Yeah. And
saying a story and owning the story and becoming that character. That's what makes you an actor. So you don't learn that on social media. You don't learn that by putting on what do you call it, ring lights and phones. You don't do that.
Are you still acting?
Oh yeah, I am still acting, and but then, like I said, is that the world is changing,
right?
So now people want to put the influencers in the movie, and they want to put the
trending
people in the movie. So you have to work twice as hard to get remembered.
Right.
Not,
like that.
Remembered. And
the OGs.
So you're there, you're waving like, hi, I'm a 2-time African Magic Winner nominee. Hi.
I'm still here.
So
it's much tougher now.
Yeah, it's much tougher. And I really give kudos and to all the OGs still keeping it real and still holding it down and still showing how it should be done and how it is done. And well done to all of them.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Any projects you would want to work on?
I love series. I've always loved series. I love the fact that for each week there's something new happening. So I would love to work in another series after the Johnsons.
After? You're still on the Johnsons?
No, the Johnsons has ended.
Aww.
Yeah, we wrapped up. We wrapped up last year.
How do you motivate yourself every time to get back to the gym to work out? You inspire many people. Whenever you post your stuff, I see some of the comments and it amazes me. Where do you get the motivation, the strength, and all of that from to keep showing up every time?
How do I motivate myself? In the past, I used to just look at my before and after pictures. That's just it. I used to just look at my before and after pictures. But here's the thing. It's a mental thing. You get to a point where even your motivation doesn't work no more. And right now, I'm very scared. I'm really scared that I might be going back to who I used to be. Yeah, because for example, I haven't been to the gym in 3-4 weeks. Yeah, I've dealt with times like that when I've not been to the gym in like a whole month and then I bounce back again and all that. But these days, I just wake up and I'm like, what's the point? Why bother? So I'm fat, so I'm going to be fat. So what? What's the worst that will happen? I'll be fat. Fat people survive. What's the big deal? Who cares anyway? And that's what scares me. Because when you get to that point, that's the point of acceptance. And that's the place you don't want to be. But I'm thankful for some nice followers, some people will send me DMs randomly and say, thank you so much. This is what I used to be. This is how I am now. And it's all because of you. Thank you. Don't stop posting. Don't. And then you would look at some of those things and tell yourself, I owe it. Not just to myself, but to people like this to just keep pushing.
Right.
But it's getting harder. And I tell people that whoever told you that once you lose weight, you're done.
That's when the journey starts.
They're telling you the truth. So, yeah, weight management is psychological, is spiritual, is emotional, is it's deeply intense before it even gets to be physical. Physical is the last part.
It's a whole mental struggle.
Yeah. And so motivating yourself is tough when all you have to motivate yourself is yourself. And when yourself is tired of motivating yourself gives up. And so that's so now my before and after pictures don't work no more because, oh yeah, so what's the big deal? Yeah, but we keep pushing. We keep pushing.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for honoring my invitation.
Thank you for making me light soup, tilapia light soup. It will make up for anything.
I had to bribe you to come.
Oh yeah, and that's why I said, ladies and gentlemen, I was kidnapped here. I did not come here by my own self. Everything I said on this podcast, they are not my words. I don't know who this person is. The real Bosede Olufunke Oseyemi Ogumboye, aka Lepacious Bose, is all the way in my house on the mainland.
And this is AI.
This is AI.
AI Bose.
I don't know her.
I still love you. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you. This is Mary with the Voice podcast, healing souls one story at a time.